Rapiwa Madzena also joining us to take a look at what is happening as far as data is concerned, because data is going to be critical in this election. There you are. Hello to you, Rapiwa. I know you're going to be speaking to Ipsos in just a moment about this eNCA Ipsos poll.
That's right. A very good morning to you early risers. That's what we're focusing on today. We've been for a few days now doing a lot of Ipsos data, and social media seems to be informing people's impression of political parties. This is according to the Ipsos eNCA survey that we compiled on October trends. And I've got the director of Ipsos SA, Marie Harris, who joins me now to break down some of those numbers. Marie, thank you very much for joining me this morning. And of course, as I've mentioned, you and I will be engaging throughout the day. Let's just bring up the first graphic, Marie. We're talking about media or information sources that were used to form an opinion about political parties. And I found it rather interesting that in the first wave, we saw about 58% of people using social media. That increased by a few percentage points, but people are very relying still heavily on radio and television mediums.
Yes, I think the traditional mediums of radio and television are not going to disappear, and we see that they are on the top of this list. But it is interesting that the intensity of the use of social media increased from the first to the third study we undertook. I think it's because the buzz about the election, the hype, people speaking, people wanted to find out things, so they used their social media more. And then something that's always very interesting to me is the word of mouth, the talks you have with family and friends. That is so important. And, not only about the talk about all the things that's wrong in the country, because a lot of the talk is about that, but also all the talk about, are you going to vote? Who are you going to vote for? Will you be there? I think that is important because it motivates people to stick together and go and vote.
A concern, though, Marie, about social media, for example, is the misinformation that goes around. So people would be forming opinions in many instances on a misinformation.
Yes, that is a big concern, and the drawback of social media is that most people speak to others who think and feel like them. So it is almost like, as I say, an echo chamber. You hear views that are just like your own, and you're not exposed to other mediums. That is why I'm quite grateful that radio and television news is still at the top of the list. So people are getting the independent views as well, although they also place a high premium on the social media. I think all of us know by this time that you need to be careful with social media in what you post, what you read, what you believe, and check your facts before you spread them from your own social media pages.
Right. Let's move on to the other October trends that were put into the survey. And we want to look at slide 2 and 3 here, Marie. The satisfaction with overall performance of the 2016's party of choice. In the first wave, we saw there was less satisfaction than we did in the third wave, although the numbers didn't vary all that much. And it leads into the next one, where South Africans are largely loyal, but when they go to the polls, they could make a sudden change in the decision and the party they want to vote for.
Yes, definitely. We see that about almost 8 in every 10 are loyal. They will vote for the same party, or they say they will vote for the same party, whereas about a quarter are saying, I don't think I'm going to vote for the same party this time. And if you then ask them, they would say they want something new. They look at all the parties in the election and they think they're going to vote for another one. They feel that the old party is corrupt. That's an opinion that's coming through. Some people say they're changing from their old party because they trust the leader of the new party. And they also think that their new party is more capable. So yes, in this election, we're probably going to see more of the same. A lot of people going to vote for the same party that they did before. But we have this quarter of voters, of registered voters, of people who are going to go out there to vote for something else, for another party, because they have made up their mind that their old party is no longer fitting the bill and they have to change. So I think the results are going to be very interesting.
Right, let's move on to coalitions, because after the elections, we're going to have to see parties form partnership if the need arises in the different metros around the country. And of course, there are a lot of mixed feelings about coalitions in South Africa. The survey has showed that some say they will either support it, and then it goes all the way to the extreme where they say they want to see what happens first. Talk us through that and really the age group of people that are more willing to consider coalitions should they happen.
Yes, that's very interesting. If we look at that as well, there's more than a third who say they will support coalitions fully. A lot of them say, I will do what my party does, so I will support the coalitions. But there's this apprehension still, and I think we can understand that if we look at the road that coalitions took after the 2016 local government election, where most of the coalitions did not work out that well. We can remember all the upheaval, for instance, in Nelson Mandela Bay in the coalition, things that happened in Johannesburg, how it went in Tshwane. And I'm not surprised that a large proportion of South Africans say they first want to see how it works before they actually decide about the coalition and where it goes. We see that older people are slightly more willing to accept the coalitions, and younger people say they are more of the opinion that they first want to see. And this is coming through very strongly, this opinion of let's see what the election results are first. Do we really need a coalition? Who will we work with? Will I accept the party that we need to work with? And so on. So it's very strong, this feeling among young people and also under the supporters of some political parties. We see that ANC supporters are largely willing to accept coalitions.
Right, we focus very briefly, Maria, last point from you. We focus quite a bit on local leaders in terms of mayoral candidates, but national party leaders are important. And based on the survey that was released now, it looks like Cyril Ramaphosa did a good job in terms of getting out there and engaging supporters and potential voters for the ANC.
Yes, I think so. He did not have a smooth path the whole way, as we know. We saw the national news quite a few times that were where he had to answer very difficult questions. But if we talk about the three leaders of the most important parties in the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, John Steenhuisen, and Julius Malema, we can see that Cyril Ramaphosa definitely still tops the bill here. He is looked upon and supported not only by supporters of his own party. In fact, as we all know, he's a little bit more popular than what his own party is, which is not the case with the other two leaders. But I think it's very important for a president that because you're not only the leader of a party, you're also the leader of a country, and you need to appeal to more people than the leader of a party has to appeal to. And I think this last October month was quite good for him.
Brilliant. So Marie and I will continue to unpack these various themes throughout the day. Based on the surveys that were conducted in October, a big component will be here, how the COVID issues impact on voting, the violent unrest, service delivery, coalitions, and a lot more, including leadership issues and the mood in the country. Guys, it's back to you in studio. Well, we are in the same studio. My goodness.
It's election buzzing.
It's going to be a very long week for you, Rupi. Thank you very much. And making sense of all the numbers for us. It's all about the data, which starts getting more and more complicated as the counting comes in. We're now 40 minutes or so into the vote.